I'm a bit of a sucker for Metroidvanias, so when I heard that there was a critically acclaimed Prince of Persia game using the side-scrolling Metroidvania formula, I thought to myself, hey, I'm a critic, I can acclaim. I'm very happy to report that while Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown may not be perfect, it definitely lives up to its reputation. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a side-scrolling action-adventure game in the Metroidvania style. That is, you explore the map looking for the next power-up or ability that will allow you to overcome novel obstacles, survive, or destroy certain hazards, etc. And while The Lost Crown does that a fair amount and in predictable ways, the game also managed to subvert my expectations and surprise me a few times. In The Lost Crown, you play as Sargon, one of the Immortals, led by Vahram, as you enter a strange city lost to time to rescue the Prince of, you guessed it, Persia. The Immortals themselves have a recurring role throughout the story, but I don't want to spoil the story too much because The Lost Crown does a magnificent job of crafting a tale that is full of twists and surprises. But that's not the main draw. Exploring the map and obtaining new abilities to get past novel obstacles while battling enemies is your main activity. Interestingly, you can choose whether or not you want The Lost Crown to be a pure Metroidvania experience or one that shows you where to go via waypoints. This is among numerous other difficulty tweaks that can make it easier for those that want to play The Lost Crown more casually instead of someone who wants a white-knuckle challenge. If you do want a challenge, however, The Lost Crown delivers that in multiple ways. Combat can be relatively challenging, and enemies are of a mixed variety of ranged and close-up damage dealers with different behaviors. Each major zone has a boss or two to create a unique challenge as well. As Sargon, you fight using your dual swords, bow, and chakram. These weapons can be upgraded as you play. Combat in The Lost Crown feels fun and fast. As you gain more abilities, you can add those abilities to your combat repertoire as well. This makes combat feel dynamic as you can approach encounters in a myriad of different ways. You can also increase the number of healing potions Sargon can carry. These potions replenish when you rest at a whack-whack tree in Soulsborne style. This helps give The Lost Crown a bit of a risk versus reward feeling to it, but it never feels as sweaty as Dark Souls. Sargon can also equip different combat abilities called Athra Surges. These range from powerful projectiles to granting enhanced combat ability for a time. Athra Surges were extremely important in my playthrough, as I used the combat enhancing surge to power through some of the more difficult boss encounters. Amulets are another way to change the way you play as Sargon, and they can really change things significantly. Amulets can enable extra attacks in a combo, give you temporary health, increase ability damage, and so much more. I found with the right amulet and Athra combo, most combat scenarios were easily defeated, even bosses. While amulets are also able to be upgraded, I wish that the system for this was a little easier. You can't upgrade them directly from your inventory. You have to select which to upgrade while at the blacksmith. This led to me looking back and forth to double check names, as some later upgrades require you to spend hard to acquire currency, and I didn't want to mess it up. Beyond combat, there are some great traversal challenges, or what I like to call jumping puzzles. There was a time when platforming in video games seemed quaint and out of style, but since Super Meat Boy, I've craved hard and deadly platforming. The Lost Crown delivers on this in a great way. There are also further jumping challenges that are incorporated into The Lost Crown organically as a way to further test yourself beyond what the main game requires. My time with The Lost Crown wasn't perfect. I did encounter a fair amount of bugs along the way, some of which actually soft-locked my game, forcing me to quit out and come back in. Sometimes this made me lose up to an hour of progress. This didn't just happen once or in the same spot, but multiple times. I even got Sargon stuck in the world geometry a few times in a way I couldn't extract him. If I run into a bug that makes me lose progress, it's frustrating. Having it happen multiple times in one playthrough can be maddening. If The Lost Crown wasn't as good as it is, I would have given up after the second softlock. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is certainly the darling the critics gushed about earlier this year, before Pal World and then Helldivers 2 took over the headlines. It's too bad that this flash in the pan might be forgotten by year's end, though I suspect it'll pop up on some Game of the Year lists, even despite its bugs, which I hope are fixed by then. If you manage to take a break from Helldivers 2 and are looking for some great platforming Metroidvania action, The Lost Crown is a great choice. Thanks for watching. This is Culture Combine.